2 years ago, our country was rocked by the introduction of COVID-19. People had to make huge adjustments to their daily lives in order to keep themselves and their families healthy. Sports team seasons were canceled, and everyone quickly became acquainted with the term quarantine. A virus that we thought would be quickly shut down is still creating stress for athletes and coaches today. With the emergence of the new Omicron variant, sports teams' coaches who thought that they would have had a regular year have had to adapt to adversity yet again.
Our team has been impacted by the new COVID variant this season. As much as we came into the season with high levels of excitement that we wouldn't have to deal with this anymore due to the booster shots and the vaccine, unfortunately, we were sidelined a little bit early in the season due to the variant, with some of our players testing positive initially. And I actually was one of them too. Never expected it, but it happened. You have to take the bad with the good. And we still continue to try to stay positive and control what we control. So that's how we have to just keep moving forward.
Along with Coach Minetti, different coaches have had COVID struggles on their teams throughout the season. CJ Serino, head coach of the cheerleading team, touched on how their squad had multiple members test positive just weeks before taking home the crown at UCI Nationals in Disney World.
Weeks leading up to Nationals, our game day team ended up needing to be shut down just because we had too many athletes on the team that unfortunately tested positive. So as a result of that, I made the decision to just shut them down and keep them home a little bit longer. So that was definitely really tough. It was about 3 weeks before we were leaving for Nationals. We had lost about 2 weeks worth of practice. So it's definitely been hard trying to juggle, preparing for Nationals as much as you're supposed to, and also wanting to make sure that the girls are safe and that we, mitigate the spread of COVID. So,
with the constant developments of COVID, it is no surprise when people test positive. However, it was a shock to the women's basketball team when they heard their head coach tested positive and would be out for a game. They weren't used to the idea of playing without her.
I've prided myself on never missing a day to coach ever in my life. I'm never sick. I never miss practice. I never miss games. And so to have to watch the team from the sideline practice and watch them play in a game, it was really difficult. It was a really big challenge for me to feel helpless, I think, and not feel like I was there to support the team. But I was very blessed with great coaches, and all of them stepped in. They were all hands on deck with preparation and with practice and with communication. So I felt really good knowing the team was left in the best hands I could have asked.
Looking at all the physical challenges COVID has brought to college teams, we sometimes fail to think about the mental stress that is put onto them. Head women's ice hockey coach Thomas O'Malley talked about their team's experience with Omicron and how he has been there for his players through the pandemic.
It's hit everyone in their own particular way, mental stress, how people have handled it individually. The coaches, we've been here for our players, our athletic training staff, we've been here for our players. It affects people differently. Just the whole thing, with, having to go back to wearing masks all the time, when we're around the arena, not essentially on the ice, but just walking around in the locker room, things like that. I think, a lot of kids, feeling like, when's this ever going to end type of thing.
Athletes have had to make social adjustments in order to keep their teams safe from exposure. Limiting travel, maintaining social distancing, and wearing a mask are just some of the protocols followed to sustain team health. Sophia Clark, a freshman on the Sacred Heart cheerleading team, touched on some of the changes she has had to make to her social life.
So definitely have had to make some social adjustments outside of cheer. You want to see your friends, we want to go home. I live on Long Island, so I'm just a boat ride away. But it's a risk I wasn't ready to take because we were competing so soon. And once you see losing all those athletes, it's like we put in so much work since August that it just wasn't worth it to go home. I'll see my friends all year round. I won't go to Nationals all year round, so.
Being a college athlete living through COVID, you would think that there would be days that you would begin to feel negative. Luckily, these Sacred Heart coaches have had great response and perseverance from their teams.
I think our team was really resilient with it. There were a lot of players that had to take on new roles. There were a lot of different opportunities for players that might not have had playing time to now have opportunities to have playing time and prove themselves. So I think it helped in some ways.
I will say this, and I've said this many times before, you know, I've never heard one complaint from any of my players, you know, like, this stinks, mask, this, that, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think everyone's just very happy just to be able to be here, be together, get out on the ice, practice, have fun.
With such unprecedented times, it is inspiring to see how Sacred Heart athletes, coaches, and teams have come together. For The Pulse, Carly Strummel, Fairfield, Connecticut.